What's going on, guys? It's Tony, Urban Girl Scout Media, living the dream as always, and coming to you today about 24 hours after a very interesting and incredibly frustrating interview was aired on Tolarian Academy with, I believe his name was Brett Rasmussen from Wizards of the Coast Hasbro Games. We learned a lot in this interview. We learned a lot, and I have bulleted out a lot of thoughts from it. So sit back, relax, listen to what I've got, and then, I want to conversate about this because I'm a little fired up right now. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little fired up with the way that this interview landed for several different reasons. And I think a lot of people are the same. And, world crisis be damned. I need something to kind of keep me sane, and a card game that I've been playing for the better part of my life, for most of my life, just kind of gave us a good dick slapping interview. So let's go through this. First and foremost, shout out to Professor. He deserves a lot of credit for what he did. He is a lot of things, positive and negatives. But he asked a lot of the questions that most of us were thinking. And I give him a lot of credit for doing that. I give him a lot of credit. We'll never know all the behind-the-scenes stuff, if it was prepped questions to them or whatever it is, but that felt like a very real and honest interview on his part, so credit to him. Let's jump right into this, though. First is one of the bigger things people are going to talk about. The comments made about having an economic team to help gauge prices and what will be going on. Yes, they acknowledged the secondary market in the most passive way possible, but they acknowledged the secondary market. We have all known for many, many years that they are watching and that they're playing off of the secondary market just like everyone else is. So I wasn't surprised that it was kind of announced that way. I was surprised that a guy who was clearly sent out there to be the face of the company fucked up like that. That's what I was more shocked of. But this was an admission. And it's loose, it's not ironclad, but it's an admission of what we all know takes place. So at this point, if you still have your head in the ground on how the clowns at Hasbro, at how they do business, that's on you, because they just showed you a lot. Second, the comparison between the Chandra Spellbook, 8 new cards, costing $20 versus the land drop with 5 cards that costs at least $165. So this kind of ties into my first point. They did acknowledge that they have the secondary market. They tried to say, well, we have artists, we have this, we have that. And it even led to something I'm going to bring up a little bit later about trigger words at Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast. But you did see that correct, that they tried to spin it as it's harder for them to do the lands because of their popularity. That is how I took it, is that they understand their popularity. Even if you want to say, well, that doesn't mean it's a secondary market, they gave us a kick to the nuts when they said they understand, and he acknowledged, yes, 8 versus 5 is more. Yes, even the cards with the same original art have reprinted pieces to them. Like, that was real. So let's jump down to that trigger piece. The word need apparently is a trigger for them, because old shill here, clown boy, whatever you want to call him, he basically got offended because they know the secondary market is begging for these cards, but they make so much money off the secondary market, insider trading, all the things that they do that are illegal or kind of would be frowned upon for a company that produces a game like this to do, they do. they have a really fragile opinion of themselves, and this guy had a really fragile ego. I want to say fragile ego of what he went there to discuss walking into this. So don't give him credit for even showing up. And you can say don't shoot the messenger, but for him to make some of the comments about you had to get that one in, or talking about the box, some of the personal shit that he said, it showed that he had a very fragile ego going into this, and that he believed that he was more in the right than what the professor allowed him to show. So next, the comment about Hasbro believes that there will be more product in the wild because up to 10 copies per WPN store will be allowed to order. They also did not want to acknowledge how many stores there were. And please remember that they are allowed to order up to 10 copies. It doesn't mean that every store will. And please remember that a lot of stores during this economic and health crisis that the world is being engulfed in are not going to reopen. They're just not. So there won't be more in the market. There won't be more in the wild. And while, yes, in theory, if you had, I think the last time that I was able to find anything, it was like 3,000 stores globally order up to 10 copies each, which, again, that's a lot of money to shill out, knowing that you're going to have to mark these up and then have people fight amongst them. I don't know. I think that was kind of poor taste for them to say that there would be more in the wild and then completely back out of giving the facts to support that. Again, a fragile ego and perception of themselves. I'm trying to see what other notes I got here. Some of them I've already kind of combined. Like I said, I'm pissed. There's a few moments in that video where I thought, wow, this was a prepared situation. It's not like he got a call and had to be ready in 5 minutes. It doesn't work like that in this game. And it blew my mind how out of touch he was. So, in terms of out of touch, I loved the comment that the WotC clown made about how he puts a little piece of paper in his decks when he has to switch cards around that are incredibly expensive. Okay, I don't believe that for 2 seconds. Sorry. He was trying to stroke one out to look like a common man. Not at all. I just not even going to give him the credit for that. Especially when one of his other comments was that, you don't need fetch lands to play in these matches or play in these formats and have fun. No, you don't need them to have fun if your idea of fun is consistently having a losing record. You may steal a game here and there, but there is a reason that they made Pioneer to have no fetch lands, because they wanted to create a format that was eternal, that didn't rely on some of the most popular and sought after cards in the game, because the price point is wildly hard to keep up with if you don't get in immediately. Legacy, Modern, terrible comment by him. If you go and look right now, 8 of the top 10 played Modern cards are lands. 7 or 8, sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head, and I don't want to pull back up the website and sound like I'm unprofessional. But 7 or 8 of the top 10 played cards are lands. And I'm not just talking about fetch lands, I'm talking about shocks, Mutavault, stuff like that. Still gets played. So lands make up a big part of the deck. And while I get it that a lot of people think, well, you can sacrifice here and there for land to be, to stay within budget or whatever it looks like, and that is true, at some point you want to have the best chance at winning. And at a game that values land so much and winning, and you get more prizes and all that stuff, it's really tough to tell a player, take the competitive disadvantage and good luck. That's a real shitty thing to do. But not as shitty as this next point. Hasbro's aware of bad behavior. Likely they identify it, guys. They likely identify it, and they seem to actually be okay with it so long as they make money. They want to pretend it doesn't exist until it hurts them directly. That's why he wouldn't discuss what they consider bad behavior. So let me give you guys a couple of things that they are aware of and how it's happening. First off, proxies, which I suggest after this interview, you just go and buy proxies of those fetch lands that you need. Don't buy supplementary products like this secret layer drop to get your damn proxies, to get your lands. If you can get a good deal on them while the economy is in a crisis, go for it. But otherwise, I would just go to the Wish app and buy a play set of them. And you know what? Most people won't give a shit or be the wiser. But the other one is going to be exactly what's going to happen, which the professor alluded to. People are going to hike up the prices on these fetch lands so much, just at the store level, not even on the secondary market, at the store level. I'd be shocked if people are able to get one for less than $200, especially with this economy issue we have. Fucking bad behavior. Another issue I had was the future of secret layers being cheaper than $25, but when the professor asked about if this will be cards we want or if it will be tokens, he refused to give us anything. Anything. Guys, you can't be this naive to think that they are going to print power at a reduced rate. I'm sorry, but until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. So, here's kind of how I'm going to end this on the interview response. I've been going for a few minutes. Hasbro sent someone out there who knew there was going to be tough questions. And either he was given a bonus to deal with everything that's going to come of it, or he was that naive to think he was going to own that moment. Either way around it, he was a fucking schmuck. The comments that they made about Standard having fetch lands when, I'm going to be honest, I played a little bit of Standard during cons when we had the fetch lands. The variety was amazing. Does it suck that you have to shuffle up so much? But yeah, it does. But you sometimes have to pay for the ability to have a great game. I really don't believe they understand the full scope of the game they have. And the way that this guy came across in this interview was we see your response online and you hurt my feelings. I'm going to tell on you. Or I'm going to get the last word in. Because he completely missed the mark there. And the companies missed the mark. It's been like this for a while. Now, I thought the Chandra Spellbook was a really cool product because of the Planeswalker they chose. But then when you look at some of the information, $20 for 8 cards versus $165 plus for 5, that's clearly manipulation of what the market is requiring. And I have no respect for that. I know that it would be hard for all of us to be in that spot with that company and not do some of the same things. And I often say until you go through that scenario, you have to be very careful to judge it. But I'm pretty sure all of us could agree the wild price differences on 2 products announced on the same day alone, that was a very strong point for the professor to narrow in on. And he did it. He did it very well. There was a moment where I paused myself and thought, there's a few things. I thought, I paused the video and started making some notes. I didn't know I was going to make a response video when I started watching it. But some of the notes I have is, this is just a fuck you to the players. In a time when we don't need that, this is a fuck you to the players. I already said they don't understand the scope of the game they have. They're too narrow-minded and too selfish and greedy. They are greedy. They are greedy. Fucking greedy. I mean, that's just the way it is. But there's also this moment where I thought, what can I do? Like, I can't let Hasbro games and Wizards of the Coast ruin a game that they're distributing for me, something that I've been playing for so long. I've invested so much time in. I have so many friends and memories, and just it blew my mind that coming out of this interview, and there are a lot of comments if you search the internet that a lot of people feel the same way, I definitely don't see the desire to support this company and play this game as much. So I'm not giving up the game I love. That's just not happening. But there is going to be some things that I'm going to do, and I think you guys can all do the same. First off, we need to figure out how to continue to let Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast stock be in decline. That means that when the world's economy starts to bounce back, I don't think it's a good idea to buy stuff where they would benefit. Go to the secondary market and purchase it off people directly if you can. The other big thing is we have to figure out how to cut them out on these secret layer drops. I know I bought some, but as time evolves and new information becomes available, you're allowed to change your opinion. And 3 months ago, I did not know that they were going to do things like this arrogantly. So I have no regrets in saying that I need to change my stance in terms of supporting this company. And then finally and something I already alluded to, go to the damn Wish app and buy your proxies. Just do it. I'm telling you guys, if enough people do it, they'll feel it. And these products, the fetch lands are going to sell out. There's enough people that either won't hear the message, won't understand the condescending tone, or likely just won't give a shit. And they'll still go buy the product. And that's fair. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I'm merely speaking to those that are as pissed off as I am. That's the truth. So I hope you guys, have some ideas. I'm open to anything, because this was one of the worst showings by a company of non-essential products. That's everyone's new favorite thing to do, is talk about what's essential and non-essential. Magic the Gathering's not essential. This was one of the worst showings of a non-essential product by a company, interview-wise, that I can recall. It was out of touch, condescending, arrogant. This guy really had this smugness to him. And I don't care if it's a trigger word or not, the game needs the damn reprints. So get off your fucking high horses, all of you schmucks at Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast. Understand that you have a chance to do something good for your players in a time when the world is going to shit. And just fucking man up and step up to the plate. If you can't do that, then get the fuck out of there. And let someone who can be in charge. Because, I mean, that interview, the tone-deaf response, the talking about how we take exception with need, and how we play the game too and we understand the players' needs. No, you don't, man. You guys don't fucking get shit. So don't tell me that you do. Don't tell me that you guys are out here trying to do the best to make everyone happy. You know that you're only going to win a little bit. You could do so much good if you would just... Why can't you print decks that have, like the World Championship decks? Why can't we go back to doing something like that? And just put fetch lands in there. Tank the value of them just a little. Print a copy that tanks the value of them, but is not tournament legal. You could do that. I mean, it's upsetting. It really is. So I'm really disappointed. It's a weird spot to be in, because I don't want them to go under, because then that kills the game. But on the same token, I don't want Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast to be able to continue this kind of toxic environment for the players. So one of my new focuses on this channel, effective immediately, is going to be spreading the good word of how shitty Hasbro Games and Wizards of the Coast is. And how unfortunate it is that a company this shitty gets to produce such an amazing game and do things that are... There's clear indications of insider trading, of market manipulation, and of all kinds of fancy 2- and 3-word inappropriate actions that, guys, we've been talking about for a long time. It's there. In the grand scheme of what's going on with the world, this is not important. This is not the most important thing by a long shot. But when you step back and you realize how much time, money, and love you've given to this game and their response to those players and that time, I think it's easy to get a little pissed off. I think it is. It's not hard. So tell me what you guys think. This was a good one. I actually feel a lot better coming out of this. Like I said, we're just about a day into this being live on Tolarian Academy's YouTube page. Definitely check it out, guys. It is about an hour long. It's better to watch than to listen, just because of the responses and the facial expressions kind of tell a lot of the story, in my opinion. But this was a fucked up one in so many different levels. So thank you guys so much. My name is Tony K. This is Urban Girl Scout Media, living the dream as always and officially hating the assholes at Hasbro for life.